This Brewers and Cubs series is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. A beautiful Sunday afternoon here in Chicago at Wrigley Field. We are looking to wrap up a 4-game set between the two division rivals in the NL Central, the Brewers and the Cubs. Good afternoon, everyone. Sophia Minert here at Wrigley Field. And the Brewers came into this series riding an 8-game winning streak, but it's been a tough go for the Brewers here on the north side at Wrigley Field. They've now dropped each of the first 3 games, but very tough losses. They were shut out twice, including 1-0 on Thursday night and yesterday afternoon, running into a buzzsaw in Jose Quintana. So we take a look at how the Brewers have fared against the Cubs this season. Just one win for them that came on the homestand the first week of the season, a 162 average for them, averaging just 1.29 runs per game, and the home runs down for them as well. Now, there's certainly been a lot of wind involved over this series that has been a factor in the offense, but manager Craig Counsell would love to solve this puzzle of getting the Brewers bats going against some terrific Cubs pitching.
You know, the pitching the pitching on the other side's got something to do with it. You know, the conditions have had something to do with it, but you know, you can always feel like you can, you know, fine tune and get a little better at that, and it's really us just being disciplined. Today's a great example of a guy. You know, we're facing a guy who's had some trouble in the strike zone, and we got to do a good job of being disciplined at putting the right balls in play. And work, you know that there's going to should be some opportunity to get ahead in the count. He's had trouble throwing strikes. You know, if that looks to be the case early in the game today, we've got to try to take advantage of that.
That's Brewers manager Craig Counsell talking about Cubs starter Tyler Chatwood. The Brewers will send Zach Davies to the mound. And as we go up to our game announcers, Matt LePay and Bill Schroeder, guys, that Craig Counsell certainly would love to solve the puzzle of this Brewers offense again against the Cubs pitchers. He even joked, he said, maybe we need to have a bat ceremony or take the bats to chapel. But certainly they would love to find some answers because the pitching has done its job as they've limited this Cubs offense to just 7 runs in the series.
Yeah, that's the thing, Sophia and Rocket. We haven't been watching slugfest baseball here. I know the Brewers were rolling coming in here, but those veteran Cub pitchers, for whatever reason, against the Brewers seem to be at their best, at least so far this season.
I think both managers a little disappointed in the offenses. I mean, and even in the games at Miller Park, you take away that one game where the Cubs put up 8 runs in a victory. There really hadn't been a whole lot going on. There's 2 very good pitching staffs going at it. And for whatever reason, the Brewers have gotten the best out of the starting rotation and the bullpen with the Chicago team. You know, these guys are accomplished starters, these guys for the Cubs. And I think they realize sometimes when the Brewers are a little over-aggressive, they work ahead in the count, and then they have the Brewers chasing with 2 strikes. They can't afford to do that. And again, I mean, both pitchers, I think both pitching staffs have been very good so far. I think the difference has been mistakes by the Brewers defensively have been the big difference. The Cubs have not been making those.
Yeah, little things have been the difference, and otherwise not much separates these 2 ball clubs. Well, Craig Counsell mentioned it a moment ago. Tyler Chatwood on the mound for the Cubs today. He's had some command issues. Rock, the Brewers faced him twice, once as a starter, once out of the bullpen, and they knocked him around, so maybe they can carry that over into this afternoon.
Yeah, when he's in the strike zone, I mean, he can be hit. He doesn't have a whole lot of off-speed stuff to keep you honest, and he's got 19 walks in his first 4 starts. And the interesting thing is, the one game where he didn't walk anybody, he had 1 walk. That's when he got knocked around the most, so he's effectively wild. And again, Craig Counsell said it very well. If they're patient and making this guy throw strikes, I think they're going to have some success. And certainly, we talk about the conditions. They're the same for both clubs. That can't be an excuse. This is a game the Brewers really need today.
And it's a good thing you got Zach Davies on the mound for the Brew Crew. He has winning decisions in each of his last 2 starts. When we continue, we'll take a closer look at Zach Davies and also hear from his pitching coach, Derek Johnson, as the Brewers try to grab the series finale in Chicago. Milwaukee Brewers baseball on Fox Sports Wisconsin is brought to you by Hupy and Abraham. Voted best, rated best. Hupy and Abraham, tell them you mean business. By Miller Lite, great taste and only 96 calories. And by Menards, save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs.
But that first year for me, we didn't win games. We weren't in the same position that we were last year. So it mattered more for them, I guess, than it did for us, because they were chasing the playoffs. Last year, I think it mattered more for us because they had the expectation that they were in the playoffs, and we were fighting for that. But I think it's just only going to grow from here. You hear about it all the time. Fans are talking about it all the time, and it's fun to hear, because I think at the end of the day, everybody wants to be a part of that kind of rivalry. I mean, you hear about the Yankees and Red Sox forever, and you kind of want to have that feeling, because those games feel like they mean even more, because they're such a close team. We're only 40 an hour away from each other, kind of thing, and you want to prove that you're stepping up and becoming a winning team.
Yeah, it is an intense series when the Brewers play the Chicago Cubs. Zach Davies gets the call today. He's had a history of some tough starts, but this year he flipped it pretty quickly, pitching well coming into this series finale. Pitching coach Derek Johnson talks about the improvement of Zach Davies.
Yeah, I mean, I think the good part is it doesn't feel the same as it has in past Aprils. I mean, he hasn't always had great result, but at the same time, it's like, it's not the same way. He got there differently. He's making pitches when he has to, and I felt like for the most part through his starts, he's been pretty productive. I think his curveball has been a pitch that he's used a little bit more, and obviously he's got the good changeup and has a cutter to go along with it, along with the fastball. So, for me, if he can throw those 4 pitches kind of whenever he wants, he's got to be in pretty good shape.
No secret that Zach is not a flamethrower, but he's a very crafty pitcher with the fastball, the cutter, the change. And Rock, I think what we're seeing right now in this early stage 2018, the curveball has been a pretty good pitch for him, at least through the first month of the season.
Yeah, and in the past, I mean, that curveball was not really a big out pitch. It was more of a show pitch for Zach, but he's really had good break on it. And when he's got all 3 of those off-speed pitches working well, it really does make his fastball a lot better. A little bit different with Davies setting up off-speed to get the fastball. Most guys are the other way around. But you can see these curveballs. I mean, against Cincinnati, very good. He's won his last 2 starts. He's only allowed 2 runs in his last 2. That covers 12 in the 3rd innings. And you see the effect of that curveball. And when he throws that pitch down in the zone like that, doesn't leave it up in the strike zone, it really sets up the other stuff. When you're facing Zach Davies, you're thinking fastball, changeup. Well, that's different now. You've got 4 pitches to consider.
Davies on the mound today. A little tweak in the starting rotation for the Brew Crew as Brett Suter will move to the bullpen. Sophia Minard will have more on the rotation change as we get you ready for first pitch in Chicago.
this series between the Brewers and the Cubs, and the Brewers looking to avoid being swept for the first time this season, looking to get the bats going, as well as the Cubs have now shut them out in 4 different games, including 2 times this series. And before today's game, manager Craig Counsell made the announcement that they will be shuffling their starting rotation, looking ahead to Wednesday as they make the start in Cincinnati for a 3-game series against the Reds. So on Wednesday will be Wade Miley called up for his Brewers debut. He will be starting Wednesday in the place of Brent Suter. So Wade Miley was a non-roster invitee to spring training. He had a great spring training, was ready to make the opening day roster until a groin injury put him back into minor league rehab. He made 3 starts, a great start for him Friday. 6 shutout innings, 2 hits, 11 strikeouts. Brent Suter had been in the starting rotation and will move to the bullpen with a 1-2 record on the season. So manager Craig Counsell spoke about the reasoning behind the decision.
I think he earned the opportunity, and we thought he threw the ball very well in camp. We thought he obviously threw the ball very well on Friday night in Biloxi, and think he earned that opportunity. And it gives us, adds another arm to what we feel like is and a really good option. And I think moving Brent, I think Brent can be a real big. I think he can have an impact in the bullpen as well. He did. I think he did okay as a starter. It was some good moments, some tough moments, but I think he can really help us in the bullpen.
The Brewers looking to avoid the sweep and get the bats going against Cubs starter Tyler Chatwood, while Zach Davies goes for his 3rd straight win. We've got first pitch and lineups coming up next at Wrigley Field here on Fox Sports Wisconsin.
Being a little warmer today, upper 40s, bright sunshine. Wind still hitting us a little bit from the lake, but not as bad as yesterday. So anything hitting the air, perhaps not the adventure that it was yesterday afternoon. It affected the Brewers, we would tell you, more than it affected the Chicago Cubs, as Craig Counsell's team still with a 16-12 record. Remember, they came into Chicago riding an 8-game winning streak and 3 tightly contested games, some good pitching, just the little things the Cubs have done a touch better in winning 1-0, 3-2, and 3-0 yesterday afternoon here at Wrigley Field in Chicago. But yet just a half a game separates the top 4 teams in the National League Central about a month in, and no separation yet as we check out the Brewers batting order this afternoon, presented by Potawatomi Hotel and Casino. Lorenzo Cain, Christian Yelich, and Ryan Braun at the top. Travis Shaw, who sat out yesterday, back in today hitting cleanup. Jesus Aguilar hits 5th. Jonathan Villar, Orlando Arcia, Jet Bandy, and Zach Davies make up the rest of the Brew Crew batting order. And that's the order that will try to get something generated here this afternoon. Rock, just a couple of runs, just 12 hits in the series. But as we mentioned a few minutes ago, it's not like we've been watching the slugfest between the teams either here or, for that matter, really at Miller Park.
Yeah, 9 runs combined in the first 3 games. I mean, 7 for the Cubs, 2 for the Brewers. And it really has come down in this series to the Brewers making the mistakes. The Cubs have not. And that's really been the difference defensively. A couple of miscues for a couple of days, and the Brewers need this one today, partner. This is a big win for the Brewers. They don't want to get swept 4 games here at Wrigley Field and then head to Cincinnati.
Exactly, and today they'll try to get something going against Tyler Chatwood, who gets the call, won his first game as a Cub in his last start. But the Brewers do have a decent history against him. Certainly that was the case last year when he was with the Rockies.
Yeah, 5th start. He's a guy that walks a lot of batters. Check it out. I mean, 19 walks, 23 strikeouts. He had 1 game against the Pirates where he walked only 1, and that was actually his worst game as far as statistics go. He's 1-3. He did win his last time out. He's had a game where he's walked 7, 2 others, and walking 6. So the Brewers need to be patient at the plate. That's an understatement.
They certainly have some guys who can grind out at bats, guys like Lorenzo Cain at the top. See if they can do that here this afternoon.
Now let's check out the defense for the Cubs. It's been pretty good in this series. You got Schwarber, Almora, and Hayward in the outfield. Chris Bryant, Addison Russell on the left side. You got Baez and Rizzo on the right, and Contreras once again and behind home plate.
And your umpires, we are back to a 4-man crew here this afternoon. The crew chief, Gary Cederstrom, will call the balls and strikes. Jeremy Rehak over at first. Stu Shearwater is at second. Eric Cooper making the calls over at third. Corey Blazer was unavailable yesterday, so they went with a 3-man umpiring crew. But they are at full strength here this afternoon, as we'll see if the Brewers can get some offense going. Lorenzo Cain, he of the better than 400 on base percentage. He's been a guy that even yesterday tried to get some offense going. Had a hit yesterday, reached base all 4 times on Friday, and see if he can continue that trend and get a little help behind him here in the Milwaukee Brewers batting order. So we are ready to roll. The 14-10 Chicago Cubs against the 16-12 Milwaukee Brewers. As we start this game, Cubs have won 3 in a row. They have yet to win 4 in a row here in 2018. First pitch to Cain, a fastball away, and we are underway at Wrigley Field. Cain with 3 hits in the series. He's hit the lead off the 4th inning yesterday. Was the first hit of the day. The first Brewer to reach base as Jose Quintana continued to pitch extremely well for the Chicago Cubs at the Brewers' expense. 2 balls, no strikes.
Yeah, typical Tyler Chatwood. You can see he has a herky-jerky delivery, and with Chatwood out there, you're going to get high pitch counts early. I mean, he's been in the hundreds in 6 innings. Not so much that he's trying to nibble. He just has a delivery that is difficult to repeat.
Cain taken all the way, and a 4-pitch walk to begin this Sunday afternoon.
And what makes him effective is what makes him very inconsistent, his delivery. A lot of movement with his fastball. He'll throw a curveball and a cutter change, whatever you want to call it, or a cutter slider rather. Change up once in a while.
Here is Christian Yelich, scuffling a bit for the first time as a Milwaukee Brewer. He is hitless in 11 at-bats in the series, but it should be noted he had on many days in this ballpark what would have been a home run. It became a warning track fly. That was on Friday afternoon. dealing with some pretty stiff winds coming off Lake Michigan here for a couple of games in this series.
It's still blowing in, but not nearly as hard. It's been interesting watching this series, particularly yesterday. Both teams having a difficult time, not just with the wind, but the sun. That's not something you really see a whole lot here at Wrigley Field.
Yeah, anything hit in the air was anything but routine yesterday afternoon. As Yelich will send one in the air to left field. That's Kyle Schwarber putting it away for the first out of the ball game. That's what we're talking about yesterday. This was how the wind was blowing in. And this was the result.
Yeah, pop-ups have to be a team effort, both sides. I mean, Ryan Braun having a difficult time in foul ground, able to catch it, but two easy outs ended up playing a big part in yesterday's game for the Brewers defensively.
Another key for the Cubs, Jose Quintana, and then the bullpen. They were able to get a lot of ground ball outs as the game progressed off of Brewers hitters. Ground ball outs and strikeouts. Here is Ryan Braun. He is going to be in left field for the first time in this series. A couple of starts for him over at first base, which gives him 4 starts there this year. First 2 games of the season in San Diego, he was over at first. Came off the bench on Friday afternoon. Well, with a couple of hits in this series, he has 101 all time here in Wrigley Field, or at Wrigley Field. It's one behind Joey Votto for the most among active players. He hits well pretty much anywhere. He has enjoyed playing in this ballpark.
Yeah, he likes hitting here. He says he feels comfortable at the plate, sees the ball well. And the numbers speak for themselves. He says he gets a lot of incentive out of the folks out there in left field in the bleachers.
Going to get that chance here today.
Yeah.
Good to hear from all his good friends out there. Chatwood is upstairs with that fastball, and is going to be an early mound visit from his catcher Wilson Contreras.
Yep, the base on ball is a big part of what Chatwood does. You mentioned that he had one start where he only walked 1, but that's when he got knocked around the most. So effectively wild is Chatwood. Of course, it could be maddening for Joe Madden. Didn't mean that to sound like that. It's kind of the way it came out.
There you go. No pun intended, but accepted. 2 balls, 1 strike to Ryan Braun. Leadoff walk from Kane, a fly to left from Yelich. Scoring opportunities were very few yesterday afternoon for the Brewers. They, in a game or in a series like this, yesterday in the 4th inning, mentioned Lorenzo Cain doubled and advanced to 3rd on a wild pitch. And that's where he was with nobody out, and that's where he stayed for the rest of the inning. And what was the 3rd pitcher's duel in as many days.
And 9 runs between the 2 teams. You're talking about 2 pretty good offensive teams when it's all said and done. 9 runs between the 2 in 3 games. So the pitching has excelled.
And very little has separated these 2 clubs, but the record would suggest otherwise. Cubs, though, as Rock mentioned, they put up runs. They average 5.3 per game. That is 2nd in the National League. Cain is on the run. Braun is taking, and Contreras with the throw, and Cain has the bag. That's the 7th stolen base in 8 tries this year for Lorenzo Cain.
Yeah, you have to have good speed and get a good jump, because Contreras has one of the best throwing arms in all of baseball. That throw right on the money, and Baez just couldn't hold on to it. Look how quick the release is, and look at this baseball, right on the money. Contreras, or I should say Baez, not able to hold on to it. Not sure it would have mattered. Would have been close.
In the meantime, a full count to Ryan Braun. Brewers with a runner in scoring position right away against Tyler Chatwood. Situation that Braun has fared well with runners in scoring position. Hit some milestone numbers in the last homestand, getting into the 1,000 RBI club, 700 plus extra base hits. A milestone home run in this ballpark last year, right? Number 300.
Yeah, the Brewers really need to jump on top. It's been a problem for them in this series.
Payoff pitch. And a diving stop by Chris Bryant, and the throw will not be in time. And Bryant's taken away a double. It'll be an infield single for Braun. Kane has to hold at second. 2 on with 1 out here in the first for Milwaukee.
Tremendous play. Good throw by Bryant on his knee. Now this stop right here saved the run for the time being for Chicago. So not just a hitter, Chris Bryant. He can pick it over there at third base. That's a heck of a play to keep it in the infield. All right, Braun legging it out.
Runners at first and second for Travis Shaw. Had the day off yesterday. Back in there this afternoon for the Brew Crew. And he too is looking for his first hit in the series. Minimal sample size for him against Chatwood. 1 for 3, but the 1 was a long ball. Here's the 1-0 pitch.
A whole lot of at bats for anybody in the Brewers starting lineup against Chatwood. Of course, he was over there in the National League West with the Rockies.
Signed a 3-year deal with the Cubs in the offseason. Bit of an under the radar type of free agent acquisition for the Cubs. Chatwood last year was 8-15 with the Rockies. The 15 losses were the most in the National League. But the home road splits were dramatic, which isn't all that unusual probably for a Rockies pitcher, but his were especially so. Started 25 times. Came out of the bullpen for a stretch last season, including 1 appearance against the Brewers last August. Shaw with a bouncer over to Rizzo. There's Russell for 1 and Chatwood for 2. And a double play ends the threat for the Brewers here in the first inning. A walk and an infield single, but they do not score. Top half of the first inning. And now let's take a look at the lineup for the Chicago Cubs this afternoon, presented by Potawatomi. Albert Almora Jr. again leading off. Javier Baez at second. Chris Bryant third. Anthony Rizzo in the cleanup spot. Wilson Contreras, Kyle Schwarber, Addison Russell, Jason Hayward, And Tyler Chatwood, the rest of the Cubs batting order this afternoon against the Brewers starter Zach Davies.
Yeah, Zach, a no decision in his first time out against the Cubs. That was at Miller Park, his second start of the year. Very good work. 1 run, 6 innings, a season high 8 punch-outs in that start. Overall, 5-4 in 11 starts against the Cubs.
He faces Albert Almora Jr. to lead things off. Top 2 hitters in the Cubs order both enter this game with 11-game hitting streaks. Beyond his work at the plate, Almora with some good work again out in center field in this series. He's taken away a couple of hits, bailed out Kyle Schwarber on one of those wind-blown fly balls yesterday afternoon. And racing in from center when he knew that Schwarber had lost it in the sun and the wind blowing around.
Yeah, it was a team effort on anything in the air yesterday. Ball was getting whipped around by that wind. Not so much today.
Schwarber back out there and left this afternoon as Almora a swing and a miss. And that's how this Sunday afternoon begins for Zach Davies with a punch out.
Now let's check out the Brewers defense. You got Ryan Braun in left field. First time in the series he's been in the outfield. You got Kane in center. Christian Yelich in right. You got Shaw, Arcia, VR, Aguilar from third to first. Jet Bandy getting to start behind home plate today.
There's Javier Baez. Back at second this afternoon for the Cubs. He committed an error in the game yesterday afternoon, did Baez, and he has committed 6 of them. Most of the National League, but he'll take away some hits as well, and he did that to Domingo Santana yesterday with Kane at third. Those big plays and ended up retiring the side.
It was probably one of his easier attempts yesterday too. He's one of those guys that makes the spectacular play look easy, and then he'll kick one that's right at him. But he's a tremendous talent.
A ball, a strike as Baez a wave and a miss. Last 2 decisions, last 2 starts have been winning decisions for Davies. 6 1/3 against the Reds, 6 in his last outing against the Royals in Kansas City. The start of this road trip. From here, the Brewers move on to Cincinnati. Games against the Reds tomorrow night, Tuesday night, and Wednesday night before coming back home for a quick 5-game homestand for Council's team. 2-2 pitch. And prior to that streak, Baez was hitting 190. He's been driving in runs, playing long ball when he needs to. 26 RBIs for Baez, which leads the National League.
Yeah, most of his hits are extra base hits. So not just hitting flares over the infield, he's driving the baseball right now.
Two balls, 2 strikes. Cutter away and now a full count to Javier Baez. Chris Bryant follows. Rizzo is the cleanup hitter. Brewers try to avoid a 4-game sweep. Back-to-back strikeouts for Davies here in the first.
Yep, cutter, then 2-seamer that time, right on the outside corner. Well done. 90 miles an hour. Let's check out our Pizza Ranch for the win here today. Brewers have to be patient with 2 strikes. They've been chasing out of the strike zone for some strikeouts and some weak contact in this series, particularly against the starting pitching. Zach Davies, 4-1 career here at Wrigley Field. Hopefully that success continues and can't be making mistakes. Errors, misplays have been big in the last 2 games.
Faces Chris Bryant. He has a very good history against Davies. A couple of home runs among his 13 for 30 against Zach. Second game back for Bryant. He was hit by a pitch in the helmet last week. in Colorado. Hey, you're right about the defense, Rock. The Brewers have been charged with just one error, but you got to peel back the layers there. They've had some communication issues. Certainly was a factor yesterday.
Yep. And that's all part of defense, right? Not just the errors, making the plays you're supposed to make. A couple of pop-ups ended up dropping yesterday. They were called hits. Should have been outs.
2-2 the count now to Chris Bryant.
But that's the nice thing about baseball. Today's a new day. Forget all about it.
Well, Lorenzo Cain has made a couple of pretty good plays out in center field in this series. Just more of the same for Cain.
Yeah.
Doing that a long time. 2-2 pitch. Davies with strikeouts of Almora and Baez. Now a full count to the Cubs third baseman. Off to a good start is Chris Bryant. .306 average, a .457 on base percentage for Bryant. Ground ball into the shift. That's Jonathan Villar, and he'll take care of it. And it's a 1-2-3 inning for Zach Davies. We're through the first at Wrigley. No score.
In their 3 losses in this series, looking to avoid being swept for the first time this season. But the leadoff walk from Lorenzo Cain is a great example of the disciplined approach that Craig Counsell wants to see from his offense today. He said, obviously, when the offense is struggling, you always feel that the approach could be better. So what does that mean? It means swinging at the right pitch, the strike ball discernment, putting yourself in good counts. And he said with today's starter, Tyler Chatwood, who has sometimes had trouble getting into the strike zone, he said it's about putting the right ball in play, having a disciplined approach. He said, and there could be opportunities there to get on base early, and something that they need to take advantage of. So Chatwood has 19 walks coming into today's start to his 23 strikeouts. So Counsell sees an opportunity there for more disciplined approaches from this lineup.
Yeah, don't chase, right? That's the trick.
Yeah, he's walked more than hits allowed. I mean, that's hard to do and still, you know, have that decent earned run average. I mean, his earned run average is pretty good. I mean, we're looking at the you know, mid threes, and with all the walks, he hasn't been hurt too badly by him.
Even last year with the Rockies, his walks per 9 were pretty high. It was 4.7. 2 balls, 1 strike to Jesus Aguilar.
You know, and in general, you know, the Brewer offense, you know, when they're all going well, they're pretty patient at the plate. They will take their walks, but when You know, the guys aren't swinging the bats all that well. The runs aren't, you know, they're not able to come up with runs. They start pressing a little bit and start chasing out of the strike zone.
Aguilar, a swing and a miss at an elevated fastball from Chatwood, and that is out number 1.
Yeah, that might be one there. It might have been borderline. He felt like he had to go after it. And Chatwood with his first strikeout. Yeah, that was up and in. And Jesus swings right through it. Supposed to be away, ends up and in. And that's Tyler Chatwood in a nutshell right there.
That is his first strikeout of the afternoon. Here's VR.
I mean, that's human nature, especially with, you know, some young players. Not that the Brewers offense is that young, but you know, when the guys are struggling a little bit to score runs, you try and do a little bit too much. You chase out of the zone. You're not as patient. And I think that's what's going on right now with these guys.
Ball a strike to VR. Looking for his first hit of the series. Brewers have had just, after Braun's infield single in the first, just 13 hits in this series with the Cubs. Not that the Cubs have been pounding the ball either, though. We should remind all of ourselves of that. They had a threat in the first inning. Runners at first and second with 1 out, and then got a double play ground ball from Travis Shaw. Hitters count now for the Brewers' second baseman against the 28-year-old out of Redlands, California, Tyler Chatwood, and there is his second walk of the day. Chatwood was a second-round pick 10 years ago by the Angels. Debuted in 2011. Was with the Rockies ever since and went through not 1 but 2 Tommy John surgeries. The season was cut short in 2014 after 4 starts. Had Tommy John surgery that year and then needed another one. Missed all of 2015. Back to the 16 and 17 seasons before signing a 3-year deal with the Cubs. Here's Orlando Arcia. See a 1 hit in the series. Sat out Friday's game, back in there yesterday afternoon. And a tester here. We've talked about the command issues of Chatwood. Arcia is not a guy who walks. He will often attack the first pitch, taking here. He's walked but 3 times in 79 plate appearances.
And one of the walks won a game for the Brewers against the Cardinals.
One of 3 games where he has had the game-winning RBI. A walk-off single against the Cubs at Miller Park. VR bluffs as though he'll go. And the count is even to Arcia.
That cutter right there. Cutter. 4-seamer, 2-seamer. The 2-seamer is the pitch that gets him out of a lot of trouble. He's a ground ball pitcher with that good movement going down and into right-handers. He's already gotten 1 double play ball off the bat of Travis Shaw when he was in trouble.
There's another cutter in there. His ground ball rate in his career is in the mid-50s, 54, 55%. It was even better last year with the Rockies. Count of 1 and 2 to Orlando Arcia with Jet Bandy waiting on deck. VR with 4 stolen bases on the year. He's been caught once.
He's been very selective as to when he's been attempting his steals. There's been a number of times where we'd be up here thinking this would be a time where VR would take off. I mean, when he was stealing all those bases a couple of years ago, he would take off just about every time he was at first base and make it.
And oftentimes when he was at second trying to get the third, sometimes not in the best of circumstances. He was really, really aggressive. And Arcia goes down swinging. Second out of the inning, both via strikeouts from Chatwood.
Yep, patience with 2 strikes. That's what the Brewers need to do here today. Hey, it's a 3-game divisional showdown between the Brewers and the Buccos as the NL Central foes collide in the weekend set at Miller Park this coming Friday, May 4th through Sunday the 6th. To view the full schedule of the series and reserve your seats, go to brewers.com/tickets.
Those Buccos on a good run again. They started hot, cooled off. They've now won 4 in a row, finishing their series with the St. Louis Cardinals this afternoon.
Kind of a surprise, isn't it? Nobody expected much out of the Pirates after they made all those trades. Garrett Cole, McCutchen gone.
And yet here they are.
Yeah.
At 16 and 11.
Just never know.
Again, a bluff from VR as Bandy pops one up behind the plate. And Contreras with just enough room. And that'll do it for the Brewers here in inning number 2. A walk to VR, but nothing more. Through an inning and 1/2, no score. Order in the first, couple of strikeouts, and Rock these last couple of outings for him. That's the Zach Davies that the Brewers have really come to like, and he's been bringing it those last 2 starts.
Yeah, he pitched into the 7th inning against the Reds back at home, and then Kansas City, 6 innings, 2 runs, 97 pitches. He's been able to manage his pitch count much better than he did early in the season. And he's won back-to-back starts, and 12 in the 3rd innings, only allowing 2 runs.
Off to a very good start here this afternoon. Took care of business in order in the first. He'll face Anthony Rizzo, Wilson Contreras, and Kyle Schwarber in inning number 2. And Rizzo with a rocket, but foul.
Well, the interesting thing in watching Davies, start to start, is he never is the same guy back-to-back starts. I mean, one day it's going to be the curveball, the next day it's going to be the changeup. Today it really seems like he's throwing a lot of fastballs. First time through this Cub offense. Had a lot of success with the changeup back at Miller Park against these guys.
And no decision on the 7th of April, but yeah, 4 hits, just 1 run, and 6 innings of work. And Rizzo into the shifts. That's Arcia out there, and that is out number 1.
Another fastball. Yep, got Rizzo down on the trademark just a little bit, rolled him over on it. An easy out to second base. That's what's always fun, if you will, to watch Davies, to see what kind of a pitcher he's going to be on a given day.
Yeah, so I use the word crafty with him. You always hear that term in this game, crafty left-hander. He's a crafty right-hander. He's a thinking man's guy who's not afraid to work you inside either. There's a toughness to him that a very youthful looking Zach Davies might fool you with. Facing Wilson Contreras.
And on his last start against Kansas City, it was the big curveball that was the big pitch for him. Keep him guessing. That's what it's all about out there on the mound.
Two balls, one strike to the Cubs catcher. Talk about the home road splits. It's been a very friendly stat in Davies' young career, what he does away from home. 17 wins and a 304 earned run average. This is start number 3 away from Miller Park this year.
And he likes pitching here for sure. 4-1 in 5 starts.
And as you said, they need him today. And obviously they need to get the bats going. Chance for Davies to have the role of the stopper here. Curveball missed and a full count to Wilson Contreras. Davies has retired the first 4 hitters. And Contreras with a base hit over the right field. Yelich over to play it. Big turn, but it's a single for Contreras. Hit number 1 for the Cubs.
Yeah, fought that one off up and in. Pretty good piece of hitting. Everything was away to Contreras until that last pitch. And Contreras able to pull the hands in and hit it into right field. A good piece of hitting, got on top of that high fastball. Yelich doing a good job to hold him to a single.
Here's Kyle Schwarber. His home run on Thursday night was the only run of the game. A liner over the wall in right field. Seven home runs for Schwarber. He has driven in 17. And back out in left field. One strike pitch on the way. You remember Schwarber came through the system as a catcher, but they have that position in hand. And then is where do you play him? Well, left field is the answer for now, with Contreras taking over the full-time duties last year following the retirement of David Ross. The position became his.
As long as he hits, I mean, left field's going to be his spot. He's never going to be a Gold Glover out there. Could be considered a liability in the outfield, but if you hit 30 home runs, I think you can get by with it. Joe Madden usually takes him out late in games with a lead.
That old line, the bat plays,
yeah,
right?
That's right.
1-1 pitch.
Used to be you'd have your defensive specialist spots, shortstop, center field, but these days the way offense is, everybody has to hit, to get playing time.
It's been a struggle for the Brewers right now, just trying to get that consistency offensively across the board. A ball, 2 strikes to Schwarber. Fights that off. Brewers defensive alignment adjusting within the at-bat. There's the third baseman Travis Shaw shifted over to the right side of the infield. A look you see from time to time. All kinds of shifting options that we have seen the Brewers go to in the course of this season. There's Travis, the third baseman, playing on the right side. Comes down to the counts, the hitter, range, all of those factors, right?
Yeah, it's like rocket science.
A chat we had with Carlos Subero in spring training, the first base coach, but he gets the infield defense all lined up, and he was explaining to us during one of the spring training broadcasts, right? It just.
And based on who's out there and who's got the most range, you got Travis Shaw playing in the hole between first and second.
Davies with the 2-2. Full count now to the Cubs left fielder. Four full counts already for Davies. One out here in inning number 2.
And you wonder if the Contreras is going to take off. Jet Bandy's been very good at throwing out base runners. Zach Davies very quick to home plate. Contreras runs pretty well for a catcher.
Yeah, 5 have tried to steal against Bandy. He has cut down 3 of them. Contreras bluffs but holds. Schwarber with a fly ball hit back into left center field. Ryan Braun is there. 2 men out.
A little easier today, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
It's actually a nice day here at Wrigley. I mean, there's a little bit of a breeze. It doesn't seem to be as cold. Sun doesn't seem to be playing as big a part, at least early on.
Needed to layer up yesterday. Low 40s.
Yeah.
Wind howling. 2 outs. Contreras the runner at first for Addison Russell. Shortstop 2 for 6 in the series. And he goes the other way. That's a base hit. On his way to third is Contreras, and the Cubs have him at the corners with 2 out.
Yep, right off the end of the bat. Wasn't like Russell was trying to go that way. It just kind of squibbed it off the end of the bat and punched it into right field. Curve ball from Davies right off the end and ends up as a base hit for the Cubs shortstop. Left that curve ball up in his zone.
The first threat of the afternoon for the Cubs. Jason Hayward at the plate. Davies has fared well against Hayward. Right fielder just 2 for 21 against Zach. Five-time Gold Glover. Year 3 of a long contract with the Cubs for Hayward. 8-year deal. The 1-0.
Really hasn't lived up offensively to what the Cubs thought they were going to get. Tremendous defender in right. Good throwing arm, good range. And a team leader.
With 259 last year, just 230 in his first year with the Cubs. But it was Hayward who helped get the team organized. A little impromptu team meeting during the rain delay in Game 7 of the World Series with the Indians. Hayward got it started. Hard to measure it, but they came back and won out of that. So get a little credit.
Yeah.
I talked a year ago about little adjustments Hayward wanted to make at the plate. Had some result from that. Had 11 home runs. The big year for him, though, was his year in St. Louis. 293. 13 homers, drove in 60 en route to another Gold Glove. He was mentioned he has 5. He has one in each of the last 4 years.
But you know, right field, you know, third base, first base, left field, your corner spots are your big run producing spots, and you wonder if that run production is enough out there in right field. According to the Cubs, it is.
Yeah, but they're taking it. They're making that exchange for what they get with the glove. 3-1 the count. And the bases are loaded.
Not the worst thing in the world. You got the pitcher coming up. I guess needless to say, you don't want to be playing from behind today. You need to win. Your offense has been scuffling. To play from behind is not ideal.
Yeah, the Brewers, there are a couple of very telling statistics. And now that we're a month in, you can start to look at them a little bit. This is a Brewers team that is home run reliant and good when it scores first.
Right.
Here's Tyler Chatwood. Chatwood for the season is 0 for 4. Cubs are making Davies fight for it to get through this second inning. A couple of singles and a walk. Curve misses.
Having a little problem with that pitch today. Not sure why, but that was a good pitch for him in Kansas City. Well, he hasn't gotten a feel for it yet today.
1-1 pitch. Ground ball to Arcia. And that'll do it for the Cubs here in the second inning. So Davies had to fight, and he leaves the bases loaded. Lorenzo Cain will hit second. It'll be 9-1-2 in the Brewers' batting orders. Scoreless as we move to inning number 3.
Cubs. The Crew looking to avoid being swept for the first time this season. And checking in on our UW Whitewater scouting report, shortstop Gilbert Lara for the Wisconsin Timber Rattlers in Appleton. His last 4 games, a great start, 7 for 16, a .438 average with 4 RBIs. And on the season, he's got an average just under 300 with 2 homers and 11 RBIs. Great to see Lara getting off to a good start with the Timber Rattlers.
Yeah, very good start, Sophia, as we continue to tell you during every Brewers broadcast about the organizational depth. Yeah, and they have a lot of it. As we get ready to head to the 3rd inning, Zach Davies will be leading things off. Scoreless here at Wrigley.
Yeah, we're going to see another part of that organizational depth with Wade Miley on Wednesday against the Reds. He's going to get a start. Guy that had a very good spring. We talked about him in the pregame show today. The fact that left-hander in that starting rotation. Brent Suter is going to go to the bullpen. A move will have to be made on Wednesday to make room for Miley, and a move on the 40-man roster as well.
Well, one of those maybe under the radar type of acquisitions. We mentioned Tyler Chatwood fits that description with the Cubs, and I think you could say a similar under the radar type of acquisition getting Miley. Pitcher versus pitcher here in the 3rd inning. And yeah, Miley did have a good spring training. He had 1 outing that kind of blew up the ERA, but he was effective otherwise in the Cactus League.
Well, he's going to get a chance against Cincinnati. Great American ballpark. Not the easiest place to pitch, but I guess it's better than pitching in AAA.
He will take that. It's going to be warming up down there too, so we've talked a lot about the cool weather here in Chicago, or cold in a bandbox of a yard like a Great American Ballpark. It may jump. We'll see.
Yeah.
And Davies will look at a called 3rd strike, and that's out number 1 here in the 3rd.
So we're not going to have to pack the gloves on this trip?
I don't think so.
We're talking about the winter gloves, not baseball gloves.
The winter, yeah. We could probably wear golf shirts. No, I guess not. We could.
Man, this is shirt and tie weather here. You don't mind wearing a shirt and tie in this weather.
With
the more
a
the merrier. Yeah.
Still not that warm here, obviously. Right. Better than yesterday, but it's going to be nice here. And more importantly, in Wisconsin, sounds like a couple nice days are on the way. Lorenzo Cain drew a walk, stole the base in the 1st inning. And a fly ball hit out into center field. Albert Almora Jr. is right there. 2 up, 2 down. Now Christian Yelich. One of several trying to get back on track here. It's been a tough series for him, and it's really the first time we have said that. I say that knowing he was on the 10-day DL, but when he's been in there, he has been getting on base, making things happen.
And he's been chasing a little bit with 2 strikes, which is something we really haven't seen out of him.
That's more like Yelich, a base hit to right. So there you go. 2-out single here in inning number 3.
Yep, curveball, able to hit it hard into right field. Chatwood left that one up. 2 guys that have relied on curveballs throughout their careers. This one ends up right down the middle of the plate, and Yelich sees that one nicely. Hits it hard into right field. Yet another base hit for the Brewers with 2 outs and nobody on. It seems like that's been the trend all series.
Here's Ryan Braun. Yeah, it's been hard for this team to get rallies going. 2 outs, bases empty, and then a single. Haven't been able to move the line, and there's a ground ball to Chris Bryant. And that'll do it for Milwaukee here in the 3rd inning. Bottom of the 3rd we go. Still scoreless at Wrigley Field. Hey, catch Speak for Yourself with Colin Cowherd and Jason Whitlock. You can catch them weekdays at 4 p.m. Central only on FS1. Top of the order here for the Cubs. Almora, Baez, and Bryant against Zach Davies. Davies with a couple of strikeouts through the first two, including Almora and Baez. Two 4-game series between these two clubs here in the month of April. Be a while before they see each other again. Good off-speed pitch there to get Davies ahead in the count, 1-2.
Yeah, one of the few changeups that he's thrown. Well, second time through, we'll see, the difference in what Davies, how he wants to attack this Cubs lineup. There's a lot of fastballs first time through.
Two and two the count to the Cubs center fielder. And this is popped up. Orlando Arcia says he has it, and he does for out number 1.
You saw the way he played that pop-up. He had his back to the infield, maybe trying to shade his eyes from the sun, which doesn't seem to be as big an issue today as it was yesterday.
Yeah, we talk a lot about the wind. If you didn't catch the game, yeah, that was a factor, but the sun bothered a lot on both sides, as the Brewers maybe a little bit more.
It's interesting, though. A lot of times when you're playing day games in different ballparks, it might be left field, it might be right field, but everybody was having a tough time with the sun. Left fielder, center fielder, first base. Very unusual.
Ryan Braun did well to stay with a foul pop. Braun was at first yesterday and was able to make the play, but it was anything but easy. Javier Baez with a bouncer. That's Shaw charging. 2 men out.
Yeah, good two-seam fastball from Davies. He's got good movement on the fastball today. Pretty good location.
Two outs, bases empty for Chris Bryant. It'll be a little while before these two clubs face each other again. It'll be a series in Miller Park beginning on June 11th. Crew doesn't come back here until August. Put 2 games set in the middle of August and back here again in September.
Well, this is game number 8 between the two teams already. Seen a lot of each other.
Yes, they have. Another Central Division run here for the Brewers. Cincinnati, 3-game series, and then a home series with the Pirates starting on May 4th. 0-1 pitch. Bryant grounded to VR in the first inning. Second time around for Davies against the Cubs. One of those games he had a no decision, but it was a game that got away from the Brewers. Cubs with a big 9th inning. Very shaky defense. A big part of that in a 5-2 Cubs win.
It's kind of been the story of this series so far. I mean, season series between the Cubs and Brewers, defense. Cubs making the plays, the Brewers at times have not. It's cost them games.
Ryan looks at strike 2 Cole, catch in the corner.
Not even close. Take advantage of that. No, not even close to a strike.
But to Gary Cederstrom, it was. Zach will take it. He'll take this too, a pop-up. Jesus Aguilar. And that'll do it. A 1-2-3 inning for Zach Davies. We are through 3 innings of scoreless baseball in Chicago. Shaw will lead things off here. Let's take you back to the opening series of 2017. Shaw against Tyler Chatwood of the Colorado Rockies. Powerball home run count. That was the first homer for Shaw as a Brewer. Coming against Tyler Chatwood.
Looked like a cutter in. Let's see if we can do that again. That'd be nice. Brewers are overdue for a home run. It's been since Tuesday in Kansas City.
Did a couple of them that night, Shaw and Lorenzo Cain.
It's one of the reasons why the Brewers have really struggled to score runs. They haven't been hitting homers. Now they're 12-4 in games when they homer. Very telling statistic.
And the very same record when they score first. But yeah, try as they might, and Council would love to see it. Love to see this team move the line and manufacture runs a little more frequently, but it remains a home run reliant ball club. Shaw hits it on the button into center field. Almora going back, and that's what he does. Runs down fly balls, and that's out number 1.
Yeah, there's been a number of those off the bats of the Brewers.
Number 24.
He smokes it out there, but Almora gets a good jump, makes it look easy. Yeah, fastball right down the middle. You can see Almora shading toward right, goes back and makes a catch relatively easily. No problem.
One away in the 4th for Jesus Aguilar. First pitch swing and a liner, and that's Chris Bryant for the second out. Quickly 2 up 2 down in the top half of the 4th inning. Chatwood with a couple of walks, one in each of the first 2 innings, but he is starting to settle in as he faces Jonathan Villar. The zeros continue to mount here for the Brewers. VR a solid first month at the plate. 275. A homer. He's driven in 8. The home run came at Citi Field a couple of weeks ago.
Man, that was a home run to left field, right down the left field line. As a left-handed hitter.
It was one that pretty much everybody in the ballpark, including Craig Counsell, figured was going to slice foul, and it never did. Two balls, one strike to VR. That home run came against Matt Harvey, who has since been moved to the bullpen for the Mets. Into the Cubs dugout. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Two hits apiece. Infield single from Braun in the first, and a single to right from Yelich in the third. A couple of walks. The only threat the Brewers have had was in the first inning. Runners at first and second, and a double play got the Cubs out of trouble. Here's the 2-2. Chadwood came in with a league high 19 walks. He has added 2 to the total. And a roller over to Rizzo. Chadwood retires the side in order for the first time this afternoon. Bottom of the 4th, no score.
Pitcher on any given day. You never know what he's going to come out with. Changeups were a big part of his game against the Cubs back at Miller Park, but today it's a lot of fastballs. Good location on the fastball. Outside corner, inside corner, keeping it down in the strike zone. You know, the scouting report on Davies, off speed, changeups, curveballs. He's kind of throwing him a curve, if you will, by mixing it up a little bit. That's the thing you love about Davies. You just never know what he's going to be on any given start.
And what's the game plan? What feels good? Start to start.
Anticipating what they might be looking for. Of course, it's nice to have that many pitches to be able to go to in order to make those adjustments. He's got them.
He does. 2-strike pitch to Rizzo. Into the shift. And that will be out number 1. There's Arcia out there in the shift for Rizzo. 1 away in the 4th. Second time that shift has worked perfectly against Rizzo this afternoon.
He's hit some balls hard in this series with not a whole lot to show for it.
And a tough first month for Rizzo Talked about it during the series. Has not been known as a fast starter, but this one even slower than usual. And some bad luck, as you said, too. Here's Wilson Contreras, who singled to right for the first hit of the day for the Cubs. They left him loaded in the second inning. Davies was able to get a ground ball from the opposing pitcher.
That's some good movement on that two-seamer today.
Two balls, no strikes to Wilson Contreras. There it is again, and this time he caught the corner, 2-1. Now the bender.
Interesting plan for Contreras, right? Works the count 2-0 and fakes a bunt to take on 2-0. Be a lot of hitting coaches beating their head against the wall watching that.
There's a ground ball to VR. Out number 2.
That's the thing, you know, you're patient at the plate, and you reward yourself by being patient, by getting yourself into hitters counts.
Yeah.
2-0, 3-1, even 1-0, right? You get there, and a lot of guys are taken. You know, it's one of those things. I guess that's the way the game's changed.
Can still be a head scratcher, though, right?
I used to love 2-0. Of course, I was hardly ever 2-0. 0-2, that was more like my game.
2-0, you weren't taken? Hack away. Here's my shot.
Unfortunately, I was. But you know what I mean. I mean, there's a reason to be patient, and that's to put yourself into a good hitter's count.
A ball, a strike to Kyle Schwarber. Get a fly ball to left in the second inning. Not much in the air here for the Cubs. Davies with 6 ground ball outs through 3 2/3. Davies ahead, a ball, 2 strikes. And another ground ball. Nice stop by Aguilar, and the feed to Davies to end the inning. Davies on a nice little roll. He's retired the last 7. Still no score.
And Cubs fans taking in this series finale. Still no score between the two teams as we head to the 5th here at Wrigley Field. And the Brewers' wives play an important role in the club's community outreach efforts through their commitment to several important causes. Each summer, the Brewers' wives team up with BCF to raise funds through a number of special events with proceeds earmarked for various organizations in Greater Milwaukee.
All right, Sophia, thank you very much. Orlando Arcia going after the first pitch, as he often does, and he becomes out number 1 on the ground ball to Bryant.
Next to the plate, the pitcher, Jet Bandy.
On the way for Jet Bandy. It's 7, 8, and 9 in the Milwaukee batting order here in inning number 5. And yet another pitching duel is unfolding. Both teams with all of 2 hits.
Sure, if it's great pitching or a little bit of not very good hitting and good pitching, a little combination of both, I would imagine. Maybe the elements have a little bit to do with it. Not so much today, though. It's pretty nice.
Bandy pops this one up, and Chris Bryant has that taken care of for out number 2.
Hey, with warmer weather on the way, at least they tell us that's going to be the case. It's almost time to lose that winter coat. Not quite yet, though. And next Sunday, May 6th, the first 20,000 fans at Miller Park with the Brewers-Pirates game will take home a lightweight retro Brewers hoodie. Secure your seats today at brewers.com/tickets.
Can we get a hoodie just to give to this dude right now? I mean, sun's out, guns out.
No
there you
shirt.
go.
Yep. Not cold. Probably hit the Cubby Bear before the game, I think.
You think?
He's got some antifreeze in him.
There's a bouncer off the bat of Davies. Baez handles it. And another 1-2-3 inning. The Brewers continue to struggle at the plate. So the Cubs today, no score through 4.5. Miller Lights, great taste at only 96 calories. And by Toyota, let's go places.
Still no score here at Wrigley Field here in the 5th, but a beautiful Sunday afternoon for baseball. And before today's game, Craig Counsell made the announcement that the Brewers will be shuffling their starting rotation. They will bring up Wade Miley. He was named as Wednesday's starter at Cincinnati, and that will take the spot of Brent Suter, who will move to the bullpen. A 1-2 record for him and a 5.34 earned run average. Now for Miley, it will be his Brewers debut. He suffered a groin injury in the final week of spring training, was likely to make the opening day roster, so he made 3 minor league rehab starts and really impressed everyone with his 6 shutout innings, 2 hits, and 11 strikeouts Friday night in Biloxi. That was his final start. Craig Counsell saying they really feel that Miley has earned this with both how he performed in spring training and also how he did in his minor league rehab starts. And really they like having Suter as that versatile pitcher in the bullpen. It was a stint that he did a few times last year, so they like the options there, the length that he brings, and the ability to cover many innings.
Yeah, Sophia, Brent came out of the bullpen 8 times overall a year ago. And Rock, you mentioned it earlier on here today that really does speak to the value. You know, Craig Counsell and this organization places it on versatility. And that's not just position players. You've got a guy like Suter who could serve as a swingman for you. And that keeps him in the big leagues and keeps him in a position to help this ball club.
Yeah, no kidding. And you know, he is you know, been very good out of the bullpen. You know, even last year. And, you know, the depth of the organization again being tested. You bring up Miley, a guy that's had some success in the major leagues. You think about, you know, Miley was a 16-game winner back in 2012 with the Diamondbacks. He struggled over in the American League, but he figured it out in spring training.
Here's Addison Russell, and he sends one into the corner. This will be extra bases for the shortstop. He turns second, on his way to third, and he gets there with a leadoff triple. First extra base hit of the day for the Cubs.
Well, no problem for Russell. His second hit, that comeback two-seamer on the outside corner. And he rips it down the line, and you know, his good speed able to get it to third base with nobody out. A pretty good piece of hitting by Addison Russell. Remember, he took a curveball into right field his first time up. Got one right off the end of the bat. That time he drove a fastball to right.
The Brewers start to pull the infield in. Jason Hayward at the plate. Snap throw.
It tells you all you need to know about what Craig Counsell thinks of his offense right now. Nothing game. We're sitting here in the 5th inning, bringing the infield in. Remember what happened yesterday when they brought the infield in? Little flare over into short left field, scored 2 runs.
And in a game, in a series like this, it 1-0 to 3-0, it breaks the game open. It's just been that type of a series.
Yeah, there is a way out of this mess. You get Hayward here, and then you got the pitcher coming up.
Hayward walked in the 2nd inning. And loaded the bases, and then Chatwood ended the inning with the ground ball to Arcia. Here's the 1-1. It's Hayward chase.
Yeah, good off speed down and away. Change up. Starting to throw a few more of them.
Davies had retired 7 straight before that Russell triple. The 1-2. Three hits for the Cubs, just 2 for the Brewers, just 14 hits for Milwaukee through 3.5 games of this series. So that goes a long way in explaining why the Brewers have the infield in the 5th inning.
Yeah, got to take risks when you're not putting runs on the board.
A strikeout of Hayward. Change up again. There's out number 1.
And perfectly placed. Yeah, you can't walk it across any better than that. A huge strikeout. Now you go after the pitcher, and you might be able to get yourself out of the inning. Perfectly located, down and away. Davies 1 step away from getting out of this mess.
One away with Russell at 3rd. Chatwood put it in play in the 2nd inning. We remind you, Brewers continue with the infield in. Aguilar creeping onto the grass. Look at the season series, you would think it's Cubs dominating in the wins and loss column. Yeah, but a lot of close shaves all series long.
Be alive for a bunt here, maybe not a squeeze.
Swinging away, the base hit, and the first run of the game driven in by the pitcher Tyler Chatwood.
First hit of the year for Chatwood. That curveball up in the zone. And that was not where you want a curveball. He left it up. It's not been a good pitch so far for Zach. And Chatwood hits it hard into center field.
Had a couple RBIs last year with the Rockies. His first hit, first run batted in this season. Here's Albert Almora. A strikeout and a pop-up from the Cubs center fielder today. Now those little things that really aren't so little. With a pitcher with an RBI single.
And the Brewers once again playing from behind.
Two strikes and nothing to Almora. Three for 12 in the series. Davies looks to settle back in. Here's the 0-2. Ground ball. Arcia, VR for one, and that's all they'll get.
Didn't have a handle on it and decided to hold on to a good decision. You won't be throwing it into seats. He had a shot if VR is able to get the handle, but he wasn't.
Second baseman, Javier.
It's another sign of some experience maybe settling in now with VR. We've talked about it on a couple of occasions. A couple of years ago, even last year, that's one he might try to throw anyway and send it into the dugout.
Right.
There's Javier Baez. Struck out and grounded to third. You like Almora with 11-game hitting streaks. High popping OPS. Chasing that bender. 1-1 the count. Second in the National League with 18 extra base hits. First in the National League with 26 RBIs. Into right field. Yelich on the run. The inning over. Cubs get on the board here in the 5th inning. RBI single from Tyler Chatwood. 1-0 Cubs after 5. Chatwood, an RBI single in the bottom half of the 5th. This summer, the World Cup is coming to Fox and FS1. Every match live and more than 300 hours of coverage. The world's biggest sporting event begins June 14th on Fox and FS1. Top of the order for the Brew Crew, Kane, Yelich, and Braun. As the Brewers try once again to get something going with the bats. Lorenzo has walked. He is flat out to center. Brewers with just a couple of hits. A couple have walked. The zeros continue to mount.
Really hasn't given the Brewers a whole lot to elevate today. I mean, the two-seam fastball for Chatwood's been good. And for the most part, he's been throwing a lot of strikes. Hasn't walked a batter since the 2nd inning. Brewers have, though, been attacking early on Chatwood. First, second pitch.
Ooh, and Kane takes one. Oh. Scary. That's a foul. They just called that a foul ball. Got the bat, got his hand as well. Ooh.
And check out the knob of the bat. Is that where it gets him? Yeah, right on the end. Gets the hand and the knob of the bat. No argument from Lorenzo. I think it was mostly knob of the bat.
Yep.
Kind of grazed the bottom of his hand.
I think Craig Counsell's going to want to take another look here. And I was with you, Rock, but apparently the Brewers see something there that merits a challenge. Gary Cedarstrom, the home plate umpire, and the crew chief this afternoon.
Well, if you're Craig Counsell and you have a chance to get your leadoff hitter aboard, why not? Why not take the chance? You might not have to use your challenge the rest of the day. So this might be a good opportunity to get a base runner. Have to be clear and convincing evidence that it didn't hit the bat and hit the hand.
That look a moment ago gives you some reason to think that maybe this would get overturned, but again, those words clear and convincing have to come into play.
Yeah, the one thing that kind of gives you an idea that it was a foul ball that Lorenzo Kane didn't really argue about it. They're going to call it a foul ball.
Yep. Gave it a whirl, but not enough there.
Yeah, the hitter knows right away. His call stands, and Lorenzo Kane right away said, yeah, it hit the bat. So curious that the Brewers would challenge it.
So they use it up, and it's a 2-2 count to Kane. Full count here. Kane with that walk in the 1st inning has a team high 19 drawn walks.
It all goes back to the Brewers' inefficiency offensively, right? I mean, Craig Counsell taking some risks that normally he wouldn't take if his team was swinging the bats well defensively, and even I think in that challenge he was hoping to get a base runner. They've been few and far between in this series.
Kane foul down the line. Yeah, this is a Brewers outfit that is hitting 132 in this series, 14 for 106. So by any means possible, trying to figure out a way to get this thing started.
Yeah, particularly top of the order.
Kane leading off here for the Brewers in the 6th. Bouncer over to Javier Baez. 1 out. Like you were mentioning, the Brewers here in the last couple of innings going into more of an attack mode. In innings 3 through 5, Chatwood needed all of 27 pitches. 42 he needed to get through the first 2.
Right. And those were the 2 innings where he was in trouble. And walks involved.
At the plate, presented by Wendy's, as we look at the day of Christian Yelich. A fly ball to left in the first and a single to right in the third. First hit of the series for Christian Yelich. Severstrom gives Chatwood the corner there. Liberal, but he got it. 1-1 the count. Chatwood is coming off a winning outing. His first win as a Cub. 6 innings of 4-hit 1-run ball against the Indians in Cleveland. Walked 5 and struck out 5. There's a bouncer. Rizzo. 2 outs. Continue to go down quietly. Here's Ryan Braun with 2 outs and the bases empty. Let's check out the Powerball home run leaderboard. Eric Thames on the disabled list. In 6 to 8 weeks had successful thumb surgery a couple days ago. He has 7. Braun and Shaw with 5. Lorenzo Cain with 3 home runs. Chatwood today is continuing a trend that Quintana and company had yesterday, getting a lot of ground ball outs. 8 ground outs here for Chatwood. He's a ground ball pitcher, as we talked about.
That 2-seamer, he's got good movement on it, sometimes too much. He can't find the plate.
1-1. Long swings and a fly ball hit out into right center field. Almora. And 1-2-3 go the Brewers in the 6th. It remains a 1-0 lead for the Cubs.
For Nate Kingham. Took a perfect game past the 6th inning, and then it was Paul DeYoung who broke it up with this hit here in the 7th. This is his major league debut, by the way. So he took a perfect game into the 7th before Paul DeYoung broke it up. His day is done now. 7 scoreless innings, 1 hit, 9 strikeouts. Not too bad of a way to introduce yourself to the big leagues.
I want to retire. That's a pretty good way to start, Nick.
What do you do? How do you top that, right?
Yeah, follow that up, Nick. 26-year-old Nick Kingham. He was a draft pick in the 4th round by the Pirates in 2010. So after a lot of years in the minor leagues, had 4 starts with their AAA affiliate in Indianapolis, and was locking up the St. Louis Cardinals. Chris Bryant on the 0-2 pitch, a roller over to Travis Shaw for out number 1. Pirates continuing to lead that game, trying to make it 5 in a row. A month into the year, you take a little peek at the standings. Pirates with a half-game lead over the Cubs, the Cardinals, and the Brewers. Here's Anthony Rizzo. He is twice grounded into the shift, and he gets hit by a pitch again. It's close to the plate, been a part of Rizzo's career.
Now this one gets him right in the buttocks. And remember, Lorenzo Cain got one up and in. It's called a foul ball. And we'll just leave it at that.
Well, they often say it's just better to lay out, right?
Yeah, well, just let the pictures speak volumes.
It is the 7th time Rizzo has been hit. We mentioned that it's been a part of his career. He is, go back 2 years ago, 24 times. And at 15, he was hit 30. Stands pretty much on top of the play. But if you're going to take one,
that's a good spot. Yep.
Derek Johnson, the pitching coach, out there. 1 out, 1 on. Wilson Contreras. Single to right and a ground ball to second. Cubs have out hit the Brewers 4-2. See if Davies can get that ground ball and get a double play and get through this 6th inning. Contreras, a big part of that second half surge for the Cubs last year. Got hot at the plate. July into August. The 1-0. Rizzo's on the run.
Talked about that start, that near perfect game, right? I mean, how can it get any better than that? Well, in 1953, Bobo Holloman threw a no-hitter in his first ever start in the big leagues. He was a member of the St. Louis Browns against the Philadelphia A's. It's happened 3 times, but that was the last.
It's good knowledge you drop in there, Rock.
Just off the top of my head.
I thought so, yeah.
Good work down in the production truck on this Sunday. Just wondering, is there a no-hitter in a guy's first ever big league start?
It was a perfecto that Kingham was flirting with today. Seven or 6 2/3. A ball, 2 strikes to Wilson Contreras. 1-2 on the way. And that is a fair ball down the line. Rizzo on his way to third. Contreras to second, and Rizzo just does get there.
Wow.
Whoa, he put the brakes on a little early. No slide and almost got caught.
Yep, and the Brewers are out of challenges, so they can't even look at it. Doesn't matter if he was safe or out. He was called safe. Brewers out of challenges, and that's a pretty good throw by Ryan Braun. And Rizzo, I guess, assumed that the throw was going to go into second base. I don't know. Picks it up barehanded, quick release, right on the money to third. Ooh, man, he missed him. And if Travis gets the front leg, he would have had him. Yep, just did miss him. He's safe. Wouldn't have mattered anyway. No challenges left.
An intentional walk to Kyle Schwarber, so the Cubs now in a prime spot to pop this open. Bases loaded, 1 out. And Addison Russell, who got things started in the last inning with a leadoff triple, and scored on the Chatwood single. Talked about needing the ground ball a moment ago. Zach dearly needs one now. Missed inside.
Well, Russell has singled on the curveball and the fastball so far today.
And one grand slam for Russell was a walk-off against Milwaukee early last year. A ball, no strikes. Tight spot in a 1-run game. And a fly ball to center. Kane out number 2. Rizzo tags. He is in. Sacrifice fly for Russell. It's 2-0 Cubs. Jennings had been getting loose in the Milwaukee bullpen, and the manager's going to go ahead and make the move here. It's a good outing for Zach Davies. 2 runs in against him. He's responsible for the 2 on. The wait continues for some run support. Pitching change at Wrigley. 2 outs, 2 on. Cubs lead 2-0 in the 6th. But just a couple of runs. The 2 on are his responsibility. 5 hits, Rock. Well, good, but just not getting any run support. Got a mess right now. We'll see if they can get out of it.
Yeah, you keep the Chicago Cubs at 2 runs, you should win games. And there's another good start for Zach, his 3rd consecutive very good start. A lot of fastballs today, got a lot of mileage out of that pitch, and he deserved a better fate so far today.
Trouble started here with 1 out. He hit Anthony Rizzo, and then Contreras followed with a double. And a sac fly from Addison Russell, the 2nd run of the game. And now Dan Jennings will try to finish this 6th inning for Milwaukee.
Yeah, part of a very good bullpen for the Brewers. That's earned run scoreless streak ended yesterday. Still, these guys have been terrific. 15th appearance for Jennings, and look at the earned run average at 146.
One of 5 relievers with an ERA of 1.5 or less. He faces Jason Hayward, Contreras the runner at 2nd, Schwarber at 1st. Here's what we're talking about. They've just been good all across the board. They can give you multiple innings.
It doesn't matter when they come in. I don't think they even know when they sit in the bullpen at what point they're going to come in. But they have been ready and have been terrific.
1-0 to Hayward.
Usually you have your bullpen rotation. In certain innings, guys are going to start getting ready. And with Corey Knebel on the disabled list, that has caused every one of those guys to be ready just about from the 5th inning on.
Jennings to get out of this. 2 on and a 1-1 count to Jason Hayward. And a fly ball into right field. Yelich battling that sun, and he hangs in there to make the catch. First time we have noticed that today. Saw a lot of that yesterday, but Yelich hanging tough out in right field. 2-0 Chicago after 6.
At Bat app, the official app of the Brewers. With At Bat, you get breaking news, live radio broadcasts, and lineup updates, and right to your fingertips. Download At Bat today, free for your smartphone or tablet.
All right, let's get you now to a game reset brought to you by Toyota. More pitching here today. A good day's work from Zach Davies. 5 2/3. Tyler Chatwood, though, a little bit better. His day still going through the first 6. 2-hit shutout ball, and he drove in the first run of the day against a drawn-in infield. It was after Addison Russell started the 5th with a triple. And now Chatwood has a 2-0 lead as he stays in there as we move to the 7th inning. Travis Shaw leads off.
There's such a focus on every single pitch, and every time you make a mistake with a pitch, it means so much more when your offense has been pretty much non-existent. That curveball to Chatwood, probably not a very good pitch. Left it up in the strikes. Of course, you get it down in the zone. It's a great pitch, right? But you hang that to a pitcher, that's doing him a favor. But again, another good start for Zach Davies.
Shaw hit the ball hard his last time up in the 4th inning, but nice running catch by Albert Almora. Fastball in there for strike 2 called. Only threat of the day for the Brewers came in the 1st inning. And runners at 1st and 2nd, a double play ended it. Here's the 2-2. In fact, since that 1st inning, the Brewers have had just 2 base runners. Chatwood has retired the last 10.
And as long as this goes, I mean, this scoring drought, the more pressure each and every one of these hitters put on themselves, and that's never good. You got to relax, go up there, just do your thing, and some guys go up there with nobody on base trying to hit that 3-run homer. That's the mentality when your whole offense is kind of been having a rough time of it.
Full count to Shaw. Another feature to this game. We talked about the command issues of Chatwood. He's walked but 2. Brock, as you mentioned, the oddity of his first 4 starts, it was the game where he walked the fewest that was his worst start. Not the case today.
No.
And that is a called 3rd strike, out number 1.
Well, the other thing he's been able to do is manage the pitch count. It's been pretty good. We're here in the 7th inning, just got over 80 pitches. And that one clearly in the strike zone at 92 miles an hour, the 2-seam fastball. I mean, it's been a large majority of his pitches. I mean, there's only been a few curveballs that he's thrown. He's got very good command of his 2-seamer, getting big ground ball outs. He's retired 11 in a row, and only one of those has been a strikeout. So the Brewers have been aggressive up there at the plate when they get a good pitch to hit. They're going after it early in the count.
Continues to get a lot of ground balls.
And that's the thing. I mean, the 2-seamer's got such good movement on it today. And he's been throwing strikes with it.
Aguilar has looked at 3 straight outside the zone. Prior to this game, his one at bat against Chatwood was last August and homered against him out in Colorado. And 1 the count to Aguilar with Jonathan Villar on deck. After 1 low and in, now a full count.
Yeah, good example of what I was just talking about, the movement. That pitch looked really good to Aguilar until it got to the hitting zone. Then diving out of the strike zone.
Payoff pitch on the way. Aguilar works him for a walk. 3rd walk today given up by Chatwood.
Yeah, first one since the 2nd inning.
That ends that streak. He had retired 11 straight. Here's Villar. A walk and a ground ball to Rizzo. Double barrel action for the Cubs. Justin Wilson and Luke Farrell, the son of the former Red Sox manager. Well, 2 balls, no strikes, and that's going to prompt a mound visit from Contreras and the pitching coach Jim Hickey.
And finally getting him out of the stretch right after 11 straight. Having a difficult time with his mechanics and falling behind.
Joe Madden has 2 getting loose. And we'll see how much longer Madden goes with his starter. He had his first win, but you pointed this out earlier. His ERA is not bad, 3.74. Locked in here today. 2-0 pitch. Bouncing ball. Taylor made. 6-4-3. And Chatwood continues to hang zeros here this afternoon. Stretch time at Wrigley Field. It remains 2-0.
Outfield video board.
Series here in Chicago, and today's Tavern of the Game winner, LJ Sports Tavern and Grill in Madison. I'm sure you've hung out there in your day, Matty.
You know, I will now.
You haven't?
I have yet, but I'm making a note of it right now.
Well, they have to call by 10 o'clock tomorrow to get 40 tickets to the Friday night game in the Miller Lite Beer Pen. This offer courtesy of the Tavern League of Wisconsin and Miller Lite. I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No, I had to think about that because I've been to several, but I need to get there. Ian Happ will pinch hit for Tyler Chatwood here in the bottom of the 7th inning. In fact, when you come over for a football game in the fall, we'll head over there after the game. What do you think?
A couple of hit spots to hit.
We do.
Matter
Well,
of fact.
we've got a lot to do. Let's hope it's an early game.
One of those 11 o'clock starts.
Yes, we'll put the request in. Two strikes and nothing to Happ. Close the book on Tyler Chatwood on what was a terrific afternoon for him. Not just on the mound, but at the plate. RBI single for Chatwood drove in the first run.
Yeah, broke the ice, both teams. Nothing at that point. Chatwood with the RBI. He looked good today. A lot of ground ball outs. Big double plays when he needed them. He got 2 of them.
Dan Jennings, who finished the 6th, stays in there for Milwaukee. Here's the 1-2. That is out number 1 in the 7th.
Good job by Jennings to get the 2 batters that he faced. You're probably going to see a right-hander now. Craig Counsell's on his way out. Got 3 right-handers coming up. Another good job by Dan Jennings. Boy, he's been terrific.
He really has. The good news is we can say that about a number of relievers, but this, of course, one of the new faces to the ball club, making a very good early impression. Pitching change with the Cubs leading 2-0. Dan Jennings did his job, finishing up the 6th, getting a strikeout of pinch hitter Ian Happ to begin the 7th, and now Matt Albers on the mound.
Albers is one of those guys with that earned run average under 1.5. You see his 12th appearance coming up. Albers last pitched on Tuesday against Kansas City. An inning and a third scoreless for Matt. Give up a hit, a strikeout. One of those guys, just about every one of them can go multiple innings. They can give you a third of an inning or 2 innings. It's kind of a nice luxury for Craig Counsell.
He will face Albert Almora. 0 for 3 here today. A strikeout, a pop-up, rounded into a fielder's choice. Cubs with just 5 hits. Picked up a run in the 5th and 1 more in the 6th. Game hitting streak on the line for Almora. Likewise Baez, who is on deck. It's in the air to center, hangs up in the air for Kane, out number 2. The last run that Albers gave up, you go back a couple of weeks ago, it was the walk-off home run to Wilmer Flores in New York. But he has been very clean since.
And that was with 2 strikes. That happens. Brewers are hoping that happens for them next couple innings. A couple of guys on, somebody get a hold of one and put an end to this.
Here's Javier Baez. Attacks the first pitch. Shaw is there. And the bullpen work continues for the Milwaukee Brewers. Cubs retired in order. Go to the 8th. Let's see if the bats can show some life. Tyler Chatwood this afternoon. One of our Badger Mutual Insurance plays of the game. Electric on the mound. 7 innings of 2-hit shutout baseball. And at the plate, he drove in the first run of the day. Infield was in. That RBI knock scored Addison Russell. And his day is done as he gives way now to Madden's bullpen. Carl Edwards Jr. now on the mound for the Cubs.
Yeah, Joe Madden has a lot of confidence in Edwards. We see him a lot in the 8th inning. The setup man for Brandon Morrow. Fastball, curveball for Edwards, and we talked about this Brewers bullpen, how good they've been. You could say the same for this Cubs relief corps.
These are among the best in the National League. Orlando Arcia leads things off here for the Brewers. Arizona Diamondbacks have the best bullpen in terms of ERA. The Brewers are behind them, and Cubs not far behind in their own right. Arcia cannot catch up to that fastball.
Yeah, Tyler Chatwood had that big 2-seamer going, sinking fastball. And he threw just about every one of his pitches. He didn't throw many curveballs or changeups. Edwards, pretty straight fastball.
And 1 pitch on the way. Strikeout and a ground ball to third. That's Arcia's day at the plate so far. The 2-1. Can this be the inning? The Brewers can get a little something going. The 2 runs they've scored in this series were on sacrifice flies. That was on Friday afternoon. Aguilar and Yelich. That has been it. Garcia draws a walk here to lead off the 8th inning for Milwaukee. Edwards, one of a handful of pitchers wearing single-digit uniform numbers. You inquired about that on, was it Friday? Blake Snell for the Rays wears number 4. He's always considered that his favorite number. Adam Ottavino, the Rockies, the Big O, 0. Get it?
Yep, I got it.
Yeah. Stroman, Marcus Stroman, wears 6.
So there's more than you would think.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Well, you know, our crack research team digging that up the other day on the bus ride. Domingo Santana at the plate now.
Great Counsell going for it right here. 8th inning. Then you have the top of the order coming up. Sogard on deck.
Santana pinch hitting for Jet Bandy. So this is the chance here. The Brewers get the leadoff man aboard. There's been a rare occurrence today. Kane walked to begin the game. And that has been it in terms of getting the leadoff man on until Arcia's walk a moment ago. Seen a couple of signs on this road trip that Domingo Santana might be coming out of the slump here. Big old cut and a big old fastball.
And 95 down though, outer half.
Santana 1 for 2 in a pinch hit role this year. Down to the count, a ball, 2 strikes. We doubled on Friday. It's just his second extra base hit here in this first month. But to put that into some perspective, he isn't the only one of run-producing capability who's scuffled. He has 2 extra base hits. That's one more than Anthony Rizzo.
Right. It's certainly been a pitcher series for sure.
2-2.
And you figure Anthony Rizzo is going to heat up, and you certainly hope that Santana is going to be able to do the same. Craig Counsell looking for more run production out of Santana. Only 4 RBIs so far. Be nice to add a couple of right here.
The 2-2 again. Edwards having a little trouble locating. Madden got 7 very good innings out of Tyler Chatwood, turning it over to his outstanding bullpen now. Here comes the payoff. That is strike 3 call. 1 out in the 8th.
It busted him inside. Here it is. Well, it looks like it's a little off the inside corner, but that's kind of been the way Gary Cederstrom has been calling it today.
One out here in the 8th inning. Another pinch hitter as Eric Sogard steps to the plate. Only Aguilar has more plate appearances in a pinch hit role. Sogard 2 for 7. Garcia led off the inning with a walk. A day where base runners have been few and far between again for the Milwaukee Brewers.
Yeah, 4 walks, only 2 hits.
Garcia's running, pitch is taken, and he is in at second. They've been able to test Contreras. Not that they get a lot of guys on, but Kane stole a base in the first, and now Arcia here in the 8th.
Big lead, good jump. Edwards takes a while to get rid of it, and not a very good throw by Contreras. I think he was trying to rush his throw because of the big jump.
A 1-1 to Sogard. Popped him up. Chris Bryant, 2 outs.
Number 6, center fielder, Lorenzo Kane.
Well, Lorenzo Kane. He is the other Brewer to get into scoring position today. That was in the first inning. Arcia is there now. Since then, a fly ball to center and a ground ball to second. Base percentage still a very, very healthy 409 for Kane.
Yeah, looking to take one out of here with that swing.
Has 3 homers. Last one coming Tuesday night in Kansas City, a solo shot. And 2 the count. Mentioned it earlier, the Brewers in games they homer are 12-4, and they haven't been homering lately. Here's the 0-2. Bite on the curveball. A really rough series for the Brewers offense. Kane has been one to get on base with some degree of consistency. 3 hits in the series, multiple walks drawn, including one today. Runner going as Kane strikes out to win the inning. Carl Edwards Jr. comes in, gets a couple of strikeouts in the 8th inning, and it remains 2-0 Chicago in the 8th.
This is a look at Adam Duvall's solo home run in the 7th inning, his 4th of the season. That would give the Reds an 8-1 lead. So an update for you on the Reds, and that's exactly where the Brewers will be heading after the game today for a 3-game set in Cincinnati. So taking a look at Miller Lite, what's on tap. Tomorrow's starters, Jhoulys Chacin for the Brewers, a 2-1 record, a 3.99 earned run average. He's been even better in his last 2 starts. He's won each of those 2 with a 1.54 earned run average. He'll face the lefty, Brandon Finnegan.
All right, Sophia, the Reds starting to score some runs. They lost yesterday, but Sophia told you what they're doing today. They scored 15 on Friday against the Twins. Brewers bats are there that will come back to life. Hope sooner than later. Here's Taylor Williams on the mound.
8th appearance. He's been very good. Hard thrower out of that Brewers bullpen. Williams last pitched on Friday right here at Wrigley Field. A 3-up, 3-down inning.
Manny Pena now behind the plate. 0-2 to Chris Bryant, leading off the bottom of the 8th for the Cubs. Fastball just missing from Williams. Taylor racking up those strikeouts. Not quite a Josh Hader pace, but not all that far off of it either. And there's another one, a strikeout to begin this day for Williams out of the bullpen. One away.
After coming inside off the plate, able to paint the outside corner. Outstanding job by Williams. He got ahead quickly. Got him off the plate inside and then able to throw 96 right on the outside corner down at the knees. Not too many guys going to hit that.
Here's Anthony Rizzo. Couple of ground balls and was hit by a pitch in the 6th inning, and got a scoring inning started for the Cubs. Moved to 3rd on a Wilson Contreras double and eventually came in on a sacrifice fly off the bat of Addison Russell. Zach Davies went the first 5 2/3. Charged with both of the runs on 5 hits. Dan Jennings and Matt Albers were clean, and they're 2/3 of an inning each. Bullpen's trying to start another streak is what they're doing. They had 32 straight innings without allowing an earned run. Finally ended yesterday.
A couple of men on a bloop in the left field with the Brewers infield in. A couple of runs able to cross home plate.
Starting pitching was good again today. That continues a trend. The ERA is under 2.5 the last 14 starts. But right now it's just a team that flat out can't score. The Cubs are not electrifying it offensively either with the 5 hits today, as you see.
Yeah, Brewers pitching staff at .317 coming into today's play. Second best in the National League. It's been impressive.
This whole series has seen some pretty good pitching as Rizzo with a bouncer to Jonathan Villar for out number 2.
Hey, every Friday home game, including this Friday, May 4th against the Pirates, fans 21 and over who sit in the Miller Lite beer pen will take home a free Brewers t-shirt. That's courtesy of Miller Lite. The Miller Lite beer pen.
We're all about that.
Should do a game out there someday.
You don't have to twist my arm.
Crew might not like it. A little extra work for him.
They didn't know it's all about us, though, right?
Yeah, they do. They know that.
Wilson Contreras at the plate. 2 for 3 day for him, a single and a double. In between, a ground ball to second. And that is hit hard out to left field, but Ryan Braun is there to make the catch, and that will do it for the Cubs as Taylor Williams retires the side in order. Brewers down to their last chance. They're down by 2.
Four-game series, the Brewers trailing the Cubs 2-0, looking to get those bats going. Just 2 hits on the day. They ran into a good starter yet again by the Cubs, Tyler Chatwood, but Zach Davies was great. 5 2/3 for him. Jay gave up just 2 runs on the 5 hits with 3 strikeouts as well. So we'll take a look back at Davies' outing, and we'll get reaction from manager Craig Counsell inside the Brewers clubhouse. That's all coming up on Brewers Live after the game, brought to you by Freighter and the Medical College of Wisconsin.
All right, Sophia, yeah, Counsell's team in a genuine offensive slump here. They have all of 2 runs on 14 hits in this series. Ben Zobrist now out there in left field for Kyle Schwarber. And on the mound is their closer, Brandon Morrow.
Yeah, 6 for 6. He's got 2 of the saves in this series. And Morrow, the hard thrower, mid to upper 90s with the fastball. And he's got the middle of the Brewers order coming up.
Christian Yelich leading things off. He is singled in 3 trips. It's his one and only hit of the series. The Brewers are in rare air. The kind of air you don't want to be in. They were held to 2 runs in a 4-game series out in San Diego back in 2010. The Cubs have scored all of 9 runs here. It's 9-2 in this 4-game series. That's it.
Yeah. And pitching has ruled so far in this series.
2-strike pitch to Yelich. Sharply hit, knocked down by Russell, and that's the first out of the inning. There's Ryan Braun. Infield single for Braun in the first inning. It was a terrific play by Chris Bryant. Took away extra bases. A diving stop right down the line.
That was a man at second base. That would have plated a run in the first inning.
Yeah, Lorenzo Cain led off the game with a walk, stole second. It's really the closest thing to a decent threat the Brewers have had today. Runners at first and second with 1 out, and Chatwood got Travis Shaw to bounce into a double play.
Yeah, only time they've had multiple runners on base in the same inning.
It wasn't until the last inning when the Brewers had another runner in scoring position. That was Orlando Arcia. But he was left stranded. 0-2 to Braun. The ebb and flow of a season. This team came to town having won 8 in a row. Braun into right field. Hayward for out number 2.
Yeah, that's the way it goes, right? Good at bat by Braun. High fastball, and unfortunately right at Jason Hayward.
Here's Travis Shaw as the Brewers are down to their final out. Aguilar is on deck. At 98, Morrow misses. Big year with the Dodgers last year. Turned that into a 2-year deal with the Cubs. For 3 today as Shaw hit the ball hard in the 4th inning. Almora ran it down. Love to see Aguilar get a shot here in the 9th inning. One more outside the zone and he'll get that shot.
Yeah, just you know, you get an opportunity, maybe you get a man on base here, and big fella get a hold of one. Lamar not easy to hit home runs against.
Didn't give up any last year with the Dodgers. Full count now to Shaw. On their feet at Wrigley Field, 3-2 to Shaw with 2 outs in the ninth. Here's the payoff. Tough series at the plate for Shaw. He's hit the ball hard a couple of times, looking for his first hit in this 4-game set. 3-2 again. And a ground ball snagged by Baez, and the Cubs sweep the series, getting 3 shutouts in the process. And from here, the Brewers move on to Cincinnati. Tomorrow's another day, another series. Get the bats going. The bats just didn't show up here this weekend.
They really just hate to waste good pitching like the Brewers have been able to get in this 4-game series. And, the Cubs had some pretty good arms out there, but boy, 2 runs in 4 games. That's rough.
Whoa. Cubs sweep the series as they win it this afternoon, 2-0. Stay with us. Dario Melendez and Jerry Augustine are standing by with Brewers Live. All coming up here on Fox Sports Wisconsin.